Hi, I'm Doug Ladd with the Nature Conservancy. We're here today with Scott Woodbury, one of the Midwest's foremost horticulturists with native plants. We're in the Whitmire Wildflower Garden of the Shaw Nature Reserve, just west of St. Louis. Scott, tell us a little about Shaw Nature Reserve and its mission.
Well, Shaw Nature Reserve originally was the place where Missouri Botanical Garden was going to move to in 1925. Back in those days, coal pollution was a problem in St. Louis and they could not grow plants. The problem's changed since then, and now we really serve the role of providing a place where people can come and hike on 14 miles of trails, enjoy a 1.5 mile stretch of the Merrimack River, and learn about nature. We have lots of programs for families, for children, for adults, and they can, of course, come to the Whitmire Garden and look at the native plants that we have here and learn about how to garden with native plants in the landscape.
Yeah, I think this is one of the treasures of the Midwest. As you see where we're standing, we see a vast amount of just spectacular flowering plants of all different types. What are some of the advantages of using natives in the home garden?
One of the advantages that really hits home with a lot of people, it's usually a business owner, is the fact that you can reduce the cost of landscaping by using native plants. Now, of course, that's not very sexy when you're talking to a homeowner. I think that probably the number one thing that attracts homeowners to gardening with native plants is the ability to attract wildlife, the ability to bring plants into your home landscape that will attract something very interesting and beautiful. We have butterfly milkweed right over here. It's kind of the poster child for native plants and native landscaping. And if you put milkweeds in your garden, one of the first things that you will observe is monarch butterflies coming in and laying their eggs on the leaves. Caterpillars munching on your leaves, that might make somebody a little bit nervous to have their plants being eaten, but that's what it's all about. We really want to try to encourage insects in the garden and not discourage them.
I've heard that native plants, once they're established, are much more efficient in terms of disease resistance and water efficiency. Is that true?
I think so. The fact that we have insects on our plants doesn't mean that these plants aren't disease resistant or not hardy. These plants have evolved for thousands of years with a complex web of organisms that belong here. Yes, we do see chewing on plants. We don't think of it as a disease. We think of it as something that's totally natural and belongs here. And by the way, when those caterpillars come back, they turn into butterflies. And so those are very exciting. It's a great way to get in touch with nature if you don't really have the opportunity outside your backyard.
So if a homeowner was looking to get started with natives, what tips would you give them to get started?
I would say start small. Don't dive in. Don't necessarily think that you have to convert your whole yard to a native landscape, but maybe start with a small area, about 100 square feet. I would highly recommend looking into the Audubon's program, Bring Nature Home. And it's a program that helps people learn the basics of how to get a backyard habitat garden going. We have a program here called Native Plant School. We teach classes on basic classes for homeowners on gardening with native plants. And I certainly would recommend coming out to this garden and look around. We have signs. Not all the plants are labeled, but most of them are labeled. And you certainly will find something for your own landscape here.
You know, one of the advantages of coming out here, I think, is you can come out and see everything from wet to dry, open to shaded sites, and get an idea of what might work for your particular setting. So.
Yeah, you bet. Well, this garden is now 23 years old, and so we've tried and succeeded and failed with so many different plants over the years. I think we currently have about 750 or 800 native species that are alive. We've killed quite a few over the years. I mean, because you know the practice of selecting the right plant for the right location is really critical, no matter what type of gardening you're doing. But having plants having observed plants over the past 2 decades, I think that we have some good ideas for St. Louis gardeners.
And I think you've just done a magnificent job of showing how they can be integrated in a design setting with your trellises and your mixtures. So it's just been wonderful as a resource for people in the Midwest. Well, thank you,
thanks.
Scott.
Thank you, Doug.